This episode is brought to you by our partnership with Suncoast Credit Union.
There was a veteran teacher, and she kept saying, you need to write this grant. You need to write this grant. You're already doing the things in your classroom. You can just get the money to do it, because we normally just pay for it out of pocket.
Right.
Teachers are really good at using their own money, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But just you do it. You just like type up the words. And what is the worst thing they're going to say? No.
Exactly. Hi, friends. Welcome to the Ignite Project podcast. Once again, we're so excited that you can join us. In case we have not formally met, my name is Mallory Williamson, and I'm the Teacher Engagement Coordinator. And we have the one and only Beyonce in the house today. Some may know her as Beyonce, but others, you can officially formally meet her as Bethany Agostinelli. And she is currently at Wahneta Elementary as a math coach. So tell me a little bit more about what you did prior to that.
Well, I quickly had a little bout in like the primary grades. First grade, second grade, I dabbled a little bit, and then I moved up to third grade where I really kind of found that was my home right there. I really enjoyed teaching third grade, and more specifically math. I was departmentalized in math, so that's where I really grew to love the math, and then the opportunity presented to become a math coach, so I kind of reluctantly jumped in. I was afraid of leaving my classroom, but it's been a fun change.
I love that. And I feel like we've done a little bit of bonding because we've seen each other at some professional developments, especially math related. So anytime I saw you there, I was like, yes, we have a connection.
Yes. And I have to say real quick that when I said I was coming to do this, some teachers at my school mentioned, I remember her presentation at Math Contact Day.
Yes!
And they were so impressed, so you made an impression on them.
It has not been forgotten. That makes me really happy. I love Math Contact Day, and I really love math in general. I mean, I feel like we definitely share that passion. Mm-hmm. One thing that we have a tendency with math is that it's very procedural, and sometimes people are very hesitant about learning math or teaching math, especially in those upper grades like third, fourth, and fifth. There's a lot of like wide-eyed in the headlight looks when teachers are told they're going to be teaching math. So I know that for you, one thing that since you're so passionate about it, you used project-based learning in your classroom. So tell me what it's like to be a student in your math class.
Well, when I was tasked to being departmentalized, I noticed a pattern very quickly that students came in and said, I don't like math or I'm not good at math. So I was like, oh no, that's not going to be acceptable.
Not here.
So that was kind of like my challenge. I was like, I'm going to make them feel successful, so we're going to work on that, and they're going to love math after they feel like they're successful at it. So like you said, we would use a lot of problem-based learning. I really liked using 3-act tasks.
Yes.
Give them that inquiry at the beginning, holding back the information, because and when I started, that was very uncomfortable, like, because there was like kind of crickets in the classroom until they caught on. So like, I need to ask for more information.
Right.
But they were so interested because I wasn't giving them everything they needed at the beginning.
Yeah.
They had to figure it out themselves, and that just led to them remembering the learning that happened in that experience.
And bringing that connection with what they're learning to what they're doing, kind of giving that personal feeling of joy and excitement and anticipation is really what grows and accelerates that kind of type of math that people feel is rigorous, it's complicated, but when you can kind of connect both worlds, that's really where it's at.
Oh, yeah.
So,
even the parents sometimes, like, they were kind of like, what are the math that they're doing? So, they would send me pictures of homework, and I would work it out and send them a picture back to help them with that, but it's a big adjustment for the parents, too.
Oh, for sure. So, talked about some of the projects. I know that I really want to hit on today with grants. Some of those projects have been funded with grants, and we know that we can't pay for it all, right? We're not in it for the money and the fame. We don't make a ton of money. So how did you kind of purchase some of these materials and resources with those grants?
Well, real quick backstory. When I taught at my very first school, there was a veteran teacher, and she kept saying, you need to write this grant. You need to write this grant. You're already doing the things in your classroom. You can just get the money to do it, because we normally just pay for it out of pocket.
Right.
Teachers are really good at using their own money, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But I was very reluctant because I was like, I don't know how to write a grant.
Yeah.
And actually, not until I moved to my next school where I actually was like, I'm just going to try it. So the first project I did was called I Love Math Day, and we celebrated that on Valentine's Day. So we kind of discouraged the bringing treats and the mailboxes. You know how some teachers get into that. I wrote a developer grant with the Polk Education Foundation where I got $800 to buy supplies. Nice. So we bought rewards, we bought activities, and it was actually just a spiral review in third grade of all the previous standards that they had already learned up until February.
Yeah.
But there was no question. We rewarded them with candy, but there was no questioning.
You have to slip that in there a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Can I hand out my Valentine's? This or that. They just have fun all day. My principal let us just celebrate that across the whole entire day with team challenges.
That's awesome. I think that's so important. Number one, you mentioned I didn't know how to write a grant. I think we have a friend in common, Marlene, and the first time she ever recommended me writing a grant, I was like, I have no idea. She's like, okay, I need to sit down with you and let's do that. And I felt like it was so monotonous and boring. It's just this concept that I'm like, it's fine. I'm just going to pay for it myself.
Yeah.
So with that, where do you even look for grants?
My main resource is the Polk Education Foundation because they really coordinate all the money that comes into Polk County schools in the grant system. So, I found that they have the easiest grants to apply for. Like the teacher told me, you're already doing it, just write it up. And once I did it, I was like, oh yeah, I am already doing this. Like I just had to write up a little activity for a lesson plan. And for that specific grant, it was 3 activities or 3 lessons. But it was easy. The hardest part is the beginning, like how many students are, indicated below level or the demographics of the school. But I noticed that the principals are just very helpful if you just go to them and say, I'm writing a grant.
Sure. They're like,
what numbers do I use?
I'll definitely help you if you want to receive money for our school to do this project.
Yes. So the Polk Education Foundation, and I've gotten a couple other grants, but they all go through them.
Okay.
And really, I'm going to shout her out. Shannon Cumby is the head of that, and she's so helpful. Like, if I had any questions, she would just email me right back, and she helped me along with that process as well.
She's so quick to respond. We work with her often, and she is on top of everything. I feel like no matter what we need, if it's a request, she will find either a sponsor, she'll find that information. It is within a day. She will get you started. I love how supportive she is.
And I'll call it her passion project because I know she loves it so much, is the developer grants and the adapter grants that she does with the Idea Expo.
Yes.
Those developers that wrote grants to develop, they just share their ideas they're already doing, like I said. Then we all go set up like little booths almost. That's like awesome. A convention in a church. And you can just go and listen to all these amazing teachers share their ideas. And then the best part is you can steal them.
I was going to say, I've been walking around with my phone and taking notes, taking pictures.
You write an adapter grant and you get that money. And those are even easier because they've done all the work. You're just saying, this is how I'm going to present it in my classroom. Yeah. And that, I think the adapters, they get the same amount of money, $800 for the school to school, $400 for teacher to teacher. So
that's awesome.
I would say what I did, you do it. You just type up the words. And what is the worst thing they're going to say? No.
Exactly.
They're not going to put it out there.
Yeah, I'm like, especially the fact that you have a direct connection. If I go to your booth, I see your idea, I talk to you about it, how it can apply to my classroom, and then maybe I could email you about questions and you can walk me through. Teachers who have been through this before are so eager to help other teachers bring this to their classroom. So why not try, right?
Yes. And the developer grants, their contact information is posted online. So they sign that I will help people who would like to adapt my idea. So there's no lack of support in that area.
Number one thing we're always looking for, right? Yes. So how flexible are these particular grants in reference to maybe what I'm doing in the classroom, the subject area, the grade levels I'm trying to do or reach?
Some grants are specific. So I know one that I've gotten several times is the American Institute of Chemical Engineers.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a lot.
It does.
But
most people are like, I'm super intimidated by
yes,
that factor.
but they funded a grant for me for flexible seating.
Okay.
And then I got another grant from them another year for iPads and coding kits. So they prefer STEM ideas, but that one is even easier because there's not a report that you have to really submit later. You just send a thank you after you get your money.
And you're good to go.
Yeah, and that one was $1,700.
$1,700.
Yeah, so
that's a big deal.
A lot of STEM grants are out there right now because that's a big push for those occupations and stuff. But a lot of the Polk education grants, if you go to the expo, there's reading teachers, science teachers, social studies, like every subject is represented in that area. And like I said, if you adapt, like my idea was I love math day, you could take it and say I love science day, I love reading day. You just make it your own.
Right.
So there are some specific but some general grants.
I've seen quite a bit of like technology grants. I've used a few myself, and just making sure you read that fine print, making sure you follow what it's asking of you, ask those questions for firsthand, and people are there. So with this, I'm going to deem you officially a pro in writing a grant. Hopefully,
I don't know about that, but
since you've had multiple ones, any quick tips and tricks that you would give to somebody who is like, all right, I'm going to dip my toe in this. I'm going to try it out. What's the best advice that you have for me?
I would say just use an idea that you are passionate about, because that's going to show in the grant application you fill out. And I even wrote down, you can Google them. They're all literally people are waiting to give away their money for tax write-offs or whatever kind of donations or charities that they are donating to. So you can Google, you could look at Polk Education Foundation, pick one, and just try it.
And
like I said, what's the worst that could happen?
Make a goal for yourself. By this month, I'm going to try to submit for a grant and do it.
Or also, if you know somebody that wrote a grant in your school, I'm going to kind of...
We're going to be besties.
Work with the teachers at my school. Anybody want to try this?
You guys hear that? She's asking you to contact her. That's what I hear.
Sure.
So the process of the grant, once I submit it, how long is that turnaround? Does that usually vary, or what does that look like?
Varies because different grants have different deadlines.
Yeah.
That's one thing you would look at when you're Googling. Some give out them in the fall or the spring. Some are annual, or though it's a rolling grant.
Right,
You can get it any time of the year.
Yeah.
So you kind of just have to look at the dates. But the Polk Education Foundation one that I've been talking about, the adapter one, I think is due in November, so it's a pretty quick turnaround. Yeah.
So as soon as you get it, you can get ready to roll it out in your classroom.
They say, go spend your money, let's go.
And those ones that are repetitive, annually, I would probably just keep submitting them, because you never know, who submitted their application during that time, and the next time it rolls around, they could obviously pick you for a $1,700 grant.
I've even seen some people extend the deadline. If they extend the deadline, they just need more applicants. So you apply. That's the trick.
That is a really good tip. So keep an eye on those grants that you're applying for, because they could extend it. Yeah, for sure. So very first, we kind of covered this, but what do I do in order to take my first step? So basically just kind of go on Polk Education Foundation website and look at what's available there, or kind of what's my first step in that?
Like I said, come up with an idea, what subject you could, or if it's technology. If you need technology in your school, like you said, there's a lot of grants that want to put the technology into schools, because that's the way education is moving. So come up with a need even that you have in your school. And you write, especially a lot of Polk County schools are Title I schools, and they really want to help support us. So, and then find Google it.
Yeah.
Polk Education Foundation, even on their Facebook, will post grant opportunities coming up, and then just try it out.
Yeah. I think it's also important to know there was a colleague in my school, and she was right next door to me, and I didn't even know that she was also a grant queen. And so kind of asking her where the constant where's the websites that you constantly go to consistently to apply, and she would give 4 or 5 at once. And I'm like, okay. So PEF, and then other places where they have, what you said, this collection of grants that they're looking to give out that money. Have it, bookmark it, keep it a safe place.
I've even seen the Polk Education has the school to school, so if it's a project that impacts the whole school, you get more money for that. But I've seen people fund their PBS activities
Oh,
through
really?
that.
That's awesome.
AR incentives through that. So there's
Which
things.
that's like every school.
Every
in
school's
all of Polk County.
doing. You go steal their idea and you get that
Right.
money to implement it as well.
Yeah,
So.
that's awesome. All right, so we are asking this question to every guest that we have. If you could pick one area in education to really spark change and ignite a shift in behavior of mindsets, what would that be? So I want to ignite what?
Oh, the big question.
Yeah.
I want to ignite a love for learning and excitement for learning. So both ways. Teachers, this is a challenge for teachers sometimes, like it was for me, to step out and write a grant. I feel like that's a way to grow as a teacher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just professional development, but what else? How can I kind of step out my comfort zone? But my passion for the math side,
Yes.
because that's where I love, is that the teacher is showing excitement no matter what they're teaching. Because if the teachers are excited, the students are going to be excited.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Oh, man. I feel like we have so many similarities in that area where you just want to be presence in the room where teachers are so passionate about what they're doing and seeing like the looks on their faces and then that mirrored on the students' faces. And then at the end of the day, the kids are like, wait, I actually learned a lot of things. It just didn't look like the way I would anticipate it or what I'm used to.
And I try to coach my teachers, the standards where you get the grumble, like we're teaching, the standard. Every grade level has one that they
fractions.
They hate to teach. And I'm like, just try to, you don't have to love it, but you have to pretend that you love it. Right. And the students will grasp onto that and they'll be engaged in that lesson.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for joining us today. We appreciate you coming and sharing all things grant-wise. So we're going to give a big shout out. You're going to have a lot of emails coming your way about that advice. So I appreciate you joining us. And until next time, guys.
Are you fired up? You can continue to fuel the fire by connecting with us here in Teacher Engagement. Every month, we host virtual all-teacher seminars, and we also have ongoing programs designed to support teachers wherever they're at in their teaching career. Whether you're a new teacher or a teacher leader, there is a way to get plugged in. Follow us on social media at TeachEngagePCPS to see all that we have going on. Let's keep that spark alive and join forces with others who have chosen to stay ignited.
Thanks for joining us. You can subscribe to the Ignite Project on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or Spotify, or watch online at the Polk County Public Schools YouTube channel. To learn more about the Ignite Project and other Polk County Public Schools podcasts, go to polkschoolsfl.com/podcasts.